Have you ever heard the advice, let your child serve themselves? That's how they learn to listen to their bodies and how to make better food choices. It's sound like a perfect plan, right? But what if I told you that, especially for kids who struggle with food, it might actually do more harm than good? Hi, I'm Bar Aizik, a holistic psychotherapist and the author of Behind Kids Eating Habits. And today, I want to walk you through why giving your child too much control around food too soon can actually backfire, and what to do instead to help them build real self regulation. So, today we'll explore why autonomy isn't always the best place to start. Second, what's really happening when kids pile on too much food. And also, we'll talk about why parents are not being controlling by stepping in. And the last thing that we'll cover, I will give you a realistic, gentle method that builds trust with food. So let's get into it. I once worked with a mom, let's call her Jenna, and her daughter, let's call her Mia. And her daughter Mia was 7 years old. She was very, but very independent. And Jenna had heard all the right advices. Let kids choose their portion. Let them decide how much they need. So she tried, like so many parents. Probably you also try that. But every night, in every dinner, Mia would load her plate like she hadn't eaten in days. And sometimes Jenna told me that it was double than what she took herself. Even though she didn't always finish her meals, she almost always asked for more snacks later. And I mean later, it can be 10 or 20 minutes after the meal. So, of course, Jenna felt so confused. She asked herself, is it normal? What is supposed to do? Should I stop her? She didn't want to be too controlling like the food police, but what was happening didn't feel right either. That's when I explained to her something that I talk about it in my book. Self-regulation around food doesn't start with freedom. It starts with structure. It starts with guidance. It's the same way that you'll not expect from a 4 years old to cross a road by themselves. It will happen after you guide them for months, for years, how to do that. The same thing we want to implement here. And this is something that most parents don't realize. Letting a child serve themselves require a skill set most kids haven't built yet. They will build this skill, but for most of them at an early age, and especially when a child struggles with emotional eating, overeating, or has history of scarcity around food or power struggles, you know, giving full control too early feel very overwhelming for a child and not empowering because those kids don't see a plate. They see treat. They see temptation, a last chance, or a way to test your boundaries. It's not manipulation. It's just where they are in their development stage. So I want to give you an idea about the psychology a little bit behind that and why letting them serve themselves often lead to oversized portions. First of all, kids don't know what a full feeling feels like yet. They know later on, like after they are overstaffed, but in the moment, they don't know how to recognize that they ate enough. Their internal cues are still developing. Another thing that we want to keep in mind that they often serve with their eyes, not with their body. And let's be honest, it's happening to us adults all the time. We'll get from this thing more than we really need, that's many times why big plates or piles of food feel for the child normal. Another thing that we want to keep in mind, if they've been too restricted before, they may see serving themselves as a get it while you can moment. All of this create stress at meal times. So now you're probably ask yourself, okay, I get it, but what should I do differently? You serve the food for now, not for life, for enough time. So those skills will be able to develop over the years. Portion meals into your child plate in a calm, consistent way. And I'm not talking about tiny portion, just enough to meet them where they are. Second, remove the extra food from the table. When tempting food is in arm's reach, it's so hard to control yourself. Even for us, adults, right? You're seeing something that is so tempting, so you will keep piling up the food. Why? Because it's there. Another thing that I want you to try, leave room for seconds. Let's say 30% less. And then there is the option for seconds. But before you're giving the seconds, create a pause. After the first portion, invite a moment of connection. Now, I'm not saying that you need every time to stop your child and tell them, okay, let's breathe. Let's talk about it before you're getting the seconds. I want it will become like a second nature. I want it will become a part of your family meal rhythm. They know that there is a pause for a few minutes just to check in with our bodies, to do something else. And if they will feel that they still need more, that's absolutely fine. And they need to know this routine. Okay. Do not expect to them to remember that all the time. You just need to create a routine that they will get used to it. First meal, a pause, and then if they will feel that they need, you'll do a checking. And if they're hungry, that's totally fine and they can get their seconds. But they need to know the rhythm. Do not expect them to know that just because you told them that once. Let them get used to it. And over time, they will be able to create this kind of pause by themselves. And one of the most important things that I want you will keep in mind that you want to help them by watching. Over time, as your child sees what's enough looks like because you serve them the food, right? And they learn how enough feels like in their body, they will begin to mirror those cues. As I told you, the same way that they learn to crossroad, right? You did it with them for long enough. They learn how to look right and left and see if there's cars coming or and all of that. They learn the scenario. They learn how to deal with this kind of overwhelming situation. They learn that. They imitated what you did for long enough with them hand by hand. This is when the skills started being developed. So show them, and over time they will be able to do that. Not because you lectured, just because you show them the path. As I said, it's structure first and freedom later. If you've been told to let your child serve themselves and it's just not working, you're not alone, you're not controlling, and your instincts aren't wrong. Your kids just need a bit more support right now. And that's what I guide through my book, Behind Kids Eating Habits. If you haven't grabbed it yet, you can find it on the link below. I'm talking about how to build a self regulation, trust around food. And even if your child dealing with overeating, emotional eating, or you facing with a lot of, food battles, there is ton of information, over 15 years of experience into this book. So you can check it out on the links below. And if you want to dive deeper on how to create this kind of structure around food and eating, check this video right here.